Is the moon sign the most important thing? It's very important if you don't have an accurate birth time. It's very important if you don't have an accurate birth time. But we have to remember again, what is the purpose of these different ascendants? The ascendant, the actual degree that was rising the moment that you were born, this, when it's accurate, when the timing is fairly accurate, what this does is it tells you, in a sense, what is the person going to have within their life? What are the actual real, what you could consider to be objective, physical, tangible experiences? You know, from the ascendant, we can figure out what the person's tangible resources are going to be like. We can see what, from the 10th house, how effective they're going to be interacting with the world. From the 9th house, what is their relationship to their culture, to higher philosophy, to religion, to gurus and religious figures and counselors and so on. We can define what are those people and situations actually going to look like for them. Good, bad, middling. That's what the ascendant does. The moon sign, the moon, which represents you could say our jiva consciousness or our soul consciousness, in a way, it's how we interpret or how we feel the world of experience. And this is where we have to kind of step back and do some abstract thinking here. Because you would think that if something difficult or harsh or bad happens to a person, that they're going to feel bad or mistreated or victimized or so on and so on. You would think that would be the case because that's a very logical step-by-step way of kind of working this out. But if you pay attention to how people behave in life, some people are given everything, and yet they act like their lives are still a wreck. Some people have hardly anything, and yet they feel a sense of grace and fulfillment. Some people might have a challenge come into their life, and they immediately they feel crippled and become overwhelmed and can't achieve anything else after that moment. Whereas other people might have a challenge or a difficulty come into their life, and then all of a sudden they develop a greater sense of strength, of confidence, of belief in themselves because they've made it through. And so when we're looking at the moon sign, what this is telling us is how's the person going to respond in a way emotionally to this experience. And we know that the Vimshottari Dasha system, the Dasha system that we use to kind of work out I guess, the timing of a person's life, it's based on the moon. And really what it's telling us is how is a person going to respond to the things that are presented to them. So the Vimshottari Dasha system, not to get too far off track here, is really just giving a sense of how's the person going to emotionally appreciate their life. And that's why astrologers can do very well with the Vimshottari Dasha system, even if they don't get the actual experience, like the tangible experience correct. Usually they will get, this is how you're going to feel. This is going to be the experience the inner experience that you're going to have. And when you can tell someone that, even if you don't necessarily get the specific tangible experience correct, they usually relate to that more. The feeling response of it. And the moon sign is also a good indicator in a way of what a person's character is. And by that, what I mean is you can look at the ascendant to see what do they get involved with, what kind of experiences, tangible experiences do they have, but it's the moon sign that's going to show in a way their character. That's why we can't be too judgmental about charts. And this is one of the reasons why when I teach astrology, I encourage students not to look at their own charts or the people that they're emotionally involved with, because until they develop a sense of detachment and also a really solid, even formulaic approach that removes the sentimental nature that you might have. You might look at a chart and make some incorrect assessments because, for example, if you look at a person's chart and you see all of these terrible, difficult combinations of Saturn and Mars and Moon and Saturn, or Mars and Mercury together. Again, when I say terrible, I just mean that they're incompatible. They tend to create a little more tension within a person's life. You can see all of these experiences and in sensitive points like the 9th house or the 10th house, or even the 1st house and 7th house, things that are more visible. You can make some statements that maybe this isn't necessarily the best person in the world, or this is a very difficult person, or this is a troublesome person. Well, they're going to experience troublesome, difficult circumstances, certainly. But if you want to know what the quality of the person is, you have to read the chart from the moon sign, or you have to look at the state of the moon. Just like you can see a person's chart who has all these wonderful yogas and all these wonderful Mahapurusha placements and so on. But then when you look at how their moon is situated, it's like they don't make the best of it, or they take it for granted, or they even abuse the opportunities that they have. So to break it down, the ascendant is to see what are the tangible experience that the person's likely going to have. And then you look at each bhava, each house, each rashi, each planet, because they all represent something, which we've covered in the last 3 sections of this program. That's what the ascendant's doing. But you use the moon sign to get a deeper sense of their character in a way. And then that brings us to the idea of the sun sign. The sun sign is useful to gain a general understanding of the direction of how a person is going to interpret the world, not necessarily from an emotional nature or an intuitive nature, but in a way, it's like, what are their moral guidelines? What is their moral compass? Or how do they see, when they see someone's behavior, are they looking at it from a very harsh Martian critical perspective, such as Scorpio or Aries, if we have the sun in Aries and Scorpio? When they look at someone's behavior, are they looking at it from a more bigger picture perspective, trying to understand the person's background and history as to why they behave that way, which would be more of a Sagittarius-like perspective? So the sun sign, in a way, kind of gives the structure of the lens that the soul is looking through, and how it understands the life around it. And so that can be very useful too, just to get an overall general quality of the person. But it is typically very general. Then you have to look at the moon sign to get a deeper sense of their emotional nature. You have to look at the ascendant sign and read the chart from the ascendant degree to get a sense of where they're actually going to get involved in. So all 3 of them are important. But as far as specifics, it gets more specific from the sun to the moon to the ascendant sign. So this is, in a way, it's a way to think about these different ascendants, and they're all useful. And this brings us to another question in the same theme.